Welcome to our special podcast in celebration of Women in Engineering Day. We have some amazing conversations lined up with four very inspirational women who have conquered challenges in our industry in what is a very, very male dominated field. Join us as we delve to explore their journeys, their triumphs, their successes, and their struggles, and the determination that propelled them to succeed. So, without further ado, let's dive in. So, over to you, Mary. If you could do a little bit of an intro for us, please.
So, hello, I'm Mary. I'm a senior electrical engineer working with Arab. I've been working in the MENA region for about 12 years now. Um, so this has been my home. I was born and raised here, so it is quite literally my home. I've worked outside of the MENA region in the UK. I've got project experience in lots of countries in the Europe. Um, and something that I particularly enjoy is Turkey. So these are some of the projects that I've worked, project places that I've worked in. I've worked as a senior electrical engineer, lead electrical engineer, um, project manager on construction sites, and so on. But always within the design and construction field.
Amazing, and that's predominantly consultancies, isn't it? International consultants that you've worked for UAE and in the UK.
Yes, that is correct. I've predominantly worked with consultancies in the UK, MENA, and so on.
Amazing, excellent stuff. And what made you decide on engineering specifically as a career? Were you born to be an electrical engineer?
So, what made me decide on being an electrical engineer? I wish I could say I was born to be an electrical engineer, but that's really not that's really not the answer. So, as a student, and when I graduated about 17 years old, I made the strategic decision to choose a career in STEM because that was my interest and be employable. So that's how engineering came in. Um, so I stuck to it. I found electrical engineering being quite versatile. I looked around. What's the most common thing that's around me? Obviously, electrical and electricity, actually. And it just made me think that I would be versatile and I could fit in and find a job someday. At that time, I didn't think of entrepreneurship, but now look around and I can see electrical engineering is quite embedded in every aspect of your life, whether it be artificial intelligence or
Mm.
coding or construction from everything. So I think I did make a really good decision when I was 17 to pursue in electrical engineering.
Amazing, thank you. And one thing that I've spoken about quite a lot over the last few years specifically is the perception of women, specifically in the MENA region, because back here in the UK, for people that may be considering a career specifically in the Middle East, that maybe a lady, maybe a woman in the industry or looking to get into the industry, a bit unsure as to whether the MENA region is accommodating, whether it's a good place for a woman to be an engineer. And yourself, you've been in the region, and as you mentioned, even a project manager on a construction site. What's the perception of women in the MENA region compared with other countries in your experience?
So, my understanding of what the perception of women in engineering in MENA region um, is that, um, well, it's changing. And I can say from me working in both MENA region and outside of MENA region, I have seen it firsthand. Um, right now, I've seen more women in construction site outside of MENA region, and that's not surprising. In the MENA region, however, we are seeing the change. Women are playing increasingly prominent roles and challenging the gender norms. Now, how has that happened in the recent past? I would think there's a lot of education related to EDIs and promoting gender equality, challenging the stereotypes, and so on. And that's the reason I think why there is a prominent increase in women in the MENA region within the engineering industries.
Brilliant. And there's been a lot of articles that I've read, including some from yourself, from our friends at the MEP magazine as well. So it's been really good to see that a lot of the industry, the bodies, so to speak, SIBSI, WIBSI, they're starting to publish quite a lot, or have been, sorry, should I say, for the last couple of years, which is brilliant. And out of curiosity, if gender biases or stereotypes affected your experience as a woman in the engineering field at all?
Um, I would be lying if I said I have never been affected by gender biases or stereotypes in my experience. Um, well, I would say that early on in my career, it was very difficult to get an opportunity for
Mm,
a graduate with no experience, but things changed as I moved into multinational companies where the hiring managers, your line managers, and the leadership themselves are being educated
mm.
on how to give everybody an opportunity. And more importantly, I think gender biases see person for a person, not their color, not their race, not their religion. Keep all of that aside. Look at pure talent and skill, and that is how the new hiring managers are, and that is how the leadership is bringing forward the work inclusive culture right now. So yes, I have had an experience in the past. I have had a couple of experiences in the past, but it's all been changed and for the good now.
And that's the important word, isn't it? Change, definitely, and awareness. People getting educated into, yeah, the right way of thinking, if we can say that. So, no, sorry to hear your previous experiences, but as I say, it's good to hear that there's positive change in the region here, across the world. I would certainly say. And if I could give you a crystal ball, what would your vision of the future for women in engineering be? And how do you believe that we can actually achieve greater gender parity and inclusivity in our industry?
Well, if I had a crystal ball and I could and I could predict the future, I would say that women in engineering are definitely increasing in number. They're being recognized, they're being promoted, their voice is being heard, and that is the biggest change that we can see. As we look forward, the unrecognized talents that you've had all over the world is now coming to play, not just in MENA.
Mm,
And it, it just makes our workplace more um, well, I'd say it's more upskilling yourself because
yeah.
you've got more competition now. If you keep the gender aside, there's more skills that you need to compete with.
Definitely. And one thing, of course, that me being a man, actually hosting this, it's so important that men can be better allies and advocates for gender equality in engineering. Are there any ideas you have around that at all?
Um, well, to answer the question on how how men can become better allies, I think it's all an unconscious bias to start
Mm,
with. So if everybody were to see the other person next to you as a talent, you would never be conscious about their gender, and it's not just
mm.
gender. Any specific reason, whether they're tall, whether they're short,
Yeah.
brown, dark, or so on. So I think that it's that unconscious bias, and another thing that's really helping the cause is the EDI inclusivity studies and the little lectures that you have
Mm.
over your lunch break, which is predominantly done in many multinational companies. Over lunch break, you have these sessions with an HR person. Even though it is 15 minutes, you realize yourself what that little 15 minutes is giving you is to tell you what you shouldn't be doing in as you go when you're hiring.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And I think it's, as you mentioned, just that awareness and people educating themselves, isn't it? Being certainly much more open-minded, for sure, not those sort of old school, if I can say, mindsets. I sat in it was a data center conference, and a lady that I know in the sector was doing a speech about women in engineering, and she said something that has just stuck with me ever since, is that women, if they're assertive, they can be called rude, or they can be called a word that begins with a B. And if a man is assertive, they're high-fived
You
and
mean
they're
brilliant?
praised. Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's the word. But men are encouraged to be assertive, as the word. But if a woman is seen to be assertive, then it can be very very negative, or negatively received in the workplace. And that really, really resonated with me and just stuck with me ever since. And even just that piece of education, isn't it, of men and everybody thinking differently, and as you say, treating everyone as an equal. So that's really powerful. Thank you. And what advice finally would you give to anybody wanting to pursue a career in engineering? And what do you know now that you wish you knew then?
For anyone who's pursuing their career in engineering, I'd say um, don't look back. It is definitely, if it's your calling, you are going to do well in that field. But you've got to do engineering because you want to do it, not because there's peer pressure. Um, so do it if you like it. You'll definitely thrive. If STEM is your calling, um, you are going to have a fortunate future.
Definitely, and I can imagine for yourself being involved in some absolutely incredible projects, that must be pretty rewarding for you to walk past a building and know that you had a contribution in that. That must be very fulfilling as well, I could imagine.
It surely is. Some of my projects are. Um, it was painful to get it through, but
Lots of long hours, and I could imagine.
lot, lots of long hours. It was bittersweet memories, but when you walk past a building that's erected, that's taken probably 2 years of your life just to get it
Yeah.
there, and um, to see so many other people posting about it on Instagram or Facebook, talking about the experience they are having there, and knowing that you enabled, or you were one of the people who enabled that experience, is fulfilling.
Amazing. And is there anything that you know now that you wish you knew back then?
Well, I tell myself not every single module from engineering is required to become what I'm doing right now. So I think I did like about 52 modules or so.
Oh, wow.
Um, well, that's engineering. So of that, I'd probably be using one of the modules, but that's okay. It just let me realize that if it wasn't for this path, I could have had 51 other ways to go through.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for your insights and sharing your journey with us and your thoughts. Thank you very much.
Thank you too.
As we bring this episode to a close, we'd like to thank our four special guests, Mary, Bestan, Alina, and Sorsan. Thank you so much for sharing your inspiring stories and your experiences as women in engineering. I've personally really enjoyed a lot of the references, especially to the Middle East market, because of the perceptions that we have here back in the UK. You can see that there is some real true change which is starting to take place. There's still a lot to be done, but the most important point is that there is change and it is happening now. I hope their stories inspire you, and I hope that they inspire a new generation of women that are looking to pursue their dreams and leave an indelible mark on the engineering field as a whole. So once again, thank you so much to the four amazing ladies that contributed today, and who they continue to defy expectations and pave the way for a more inclusive and diverse future.